Do want to get to that breaking news that I mentioned. Reports coming in now of two planes clipping wings at D.C.'s Ronald Reagan Washington Airport. New York Congressman LaLota actually sending out this tweet and picture saying that another plane had bumped into the wing of the plane that he was on, and then they needed to head back to the gate. According to what the congressman tweeted out, everybody is okay on that aircraft. The FAA is now putting out a statement saying that there has been no impact to flight operations at Reagan National Airport, also confirming no injuries at this time. Congressman Gottheimer was also on one of these planes. He joins us by phone. Congressman, just give us whatever details you have, starting from when you got on your plane and what happened.
So I was on that same American flight here. Thanks for having me. And we all boarded and we went on the runway. It was an American flight, I think 4522. So sitting on the runway, they, as you know, sometimes make you wait before you take off. And as we were waiting there, another plane came by and their wing hit our wing, I guess on the right side of the plane. The plane shook violently, right? The whole plane shook. And then it was pretty clear that we got hit. And then obviously the pilot came on and told us we weren't going anywhere except back to the gate. We then waited about 45 minutes or so before they can move us. The FAA, I guess, had to come out and inspect before we could go back to the gate.
Okay, so it was back in January that it was an American Airlines flight that collided with that Army helicopter. All of us here in our nation's capital, across the United States, more than 60 people were killed. It was horrifying. A lot of changes. Yes, exactly. We'll never forget it. And since then, there's been the investigations, the various investigations, also the changes there at the airport, that flight path taken off the routes now. You're on an American Airlines plane, is that right?
Yes, American. Yeah.
Okay, so has anybody mentioned anything to you to make you feel any safer or any, I guess at this moment, you clearly weren't airborne, you were on the runway, but
no, and thank God everyone was okay. I mean, but what's scary is this is the same airport, and with the air traffic control issues that we believe, caused that horrific accident, or contributed to it, right? The helicopters and not enough people on the tower, and now you hear again on the ground. This is an air traffic control issue, right? They're supposed to be communicating with all the planes to move the planes on the runway safely, and yeah, we have another incident. So it's not a great year for Washington National Airport. I'll tell you that much.
Well, we know it's the busiest runway in the airport in the country. So, just in light of what you just said, I know there's a number of members of Congress on that aircraft with you.
There were a bunch of us, yeah.
Okay, yeah. What are you talking about? What's the conversation like? I mean, this is not just pretty scary situation where your wing has been clipped, but this brings forward all the issues, Congressman, that we were talking about since January.
Yeah, well, the first thing you do is thank your lucky stars that you're okay, right, and that everyone is okay. And I think that's what we were all talking about first, just everyone okay. And then, yes, we were talking to each other pretty quickly about what's going on here. How does this happen in the first place, right? I mean, this is why you have these systems in place to prevent this, and what else do we need to be doing? And obviously, many of us have been paying close attention since that incident and the crash, and there's been other issues, near misses and other things. I don't know if you remember. I think there was another one soon after, another issue at the airport. So the key is now to make sure we're doing, from an oversight perspective, everything possible that make sure that the FAA is taking appropriate action, not just to investigate what happened, but going forward to protect all of our airports. And do we have the right resources? This is not a time to be cutting the FAA when they're understaffed already, which is something we, of course, immediately talked about as well, because, as you know, there's been cuts at the FAA from the administration. So that's also something that's deeply concerning. When you've got issues like this, you don't start cutting FAA when they're understaffed.
And the NTSB, as we've been, of course, investigating what happened back in January, Congressman, the NTSB said that investigators have now uncovered more than 15,000 occurrences for close calls between commercial airplanes and helicopters. A number of investigations, as you know, have been launched since what happened in January. And this is specifically just between helicopters and commercial aircraft. I mean, 15,000 incidents.
It's insane and unacceptable. I mean, we got to do better here. We just got to do better.
Well, and that's just between 2021 and 2024. And now here you are. And as you mentioned, thank God you weren't airborne, but the plane's clipped. I mean, are you getting any kind of explanation of how this happened?
No, we didn't get any explanation. I mean, I think it's probably protocol, right? I'm sure there's certain steps they have to follow as an airline before they give us any information, except you're sitting there, and I was talking to a woman who was sitting across the aisle from me, and she said she was watching and saw the plane just driving. It was clear that it was way too close, and she saw it where she actually saw it hit our airplane. So this is obviously not the way it's supposed to be. It's unacceptable, and we got to do a lot better. And believe me, I'm going to be all over this, as I've been all over it since the first incident. But I think this just reinforces that this airport has got a lot of work to do, in particular.
Well, and, we talked about this as well, Congressman, that Congress increased flights at a DCA there back in 2023. Was that a mistake, you think? And could we see you and other members of Congress, jumping onto this issue ASAP since this incident, and since all of you are on a plane that just experienced this, this situation?
I mean, I think after the crash, many of us have been very focused on this and gotten briefings on it, and as you know, they do a pretty deep investigation before they come right back to you with answers, and we're all trying to get to the bottom of not just what happened in that horrific incident, but in general, what's going on at the airport, what's going on with staffing levels, what about other airports and other near misses that are occurring, and what steps need to be taken to make sure that we do have the safest guys in the world, which is what we should expect. And so, we have a lot of work to do. This just reiterates it. Hopefully this puts a spotlight on the issue so that nobody loses focus, right? And I think we got to make sure we keep the pressure on the FAA and working with the NTSB to make that happen, Department of Transportation to make that happen.
Yeah, I have a feeling this situation is going to go down a lot differently. The fact that so many of you, members of Congress, are on that aircraft that experienced this firsthand. Congressman, apparently, Gregory Meeks.
Well,
yes, yeah. No, thank you, and I appreciate. Yeah, he's with you too. So he was on the plane as well.
Yeah, and Richie Torres and Congressman LaLota and Grace Mang and there were others. I think Adriana SBR was there. So there were a lot of members of Congress going back to the New York area. Listen, it shouldn't take this to get more action. But if we can use this to get faster action for people, then for the public, then that's a good outcome. So I'm going to be on it, and I really appreciate you having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Congressman. And as we mentioned, Gregory Meeks also on that flight. He has called in to us now, Congressman from New York. I don't know, Congressman, if you could hear Congressman Gottheimer there, but I appreciate you calling in as well. Give us, tell us where you were on the plane and what happened.
Well, look, we were just sitting on the plane, sitting on the side, waiting for to take off. We were waiting on the side to get the clearance. A couple of flights plane, I guess, was before us. And just sitting there, and all of a sudden, we felt the plane hit the wing of our plane. It was a bump, and everybody in the plane was looking at one another, at least seeing that was sitting around me. We started looking at it, and I had an individual sitting next to me who used to be a pilot. And he said to me, all this time, this has never happened before. And he said, generally, it's a simple taxiway. And what the plane that was trying to taxi around us, what they were doing, he couldn't imagine what it was, but something is drastically wrong. I mean, a plane sitting still and another plane trying to taxi around it, I guess. I don't know what it was doing. And just clipped us. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
And the fact that you were sitting next to a pilot, what else did this pilot tell you, Congressman, of what, is it he or is she, the pilot, what they thought might have happened here?
Yeah, this is a former military pilot who has said he's flown around the world. This has never happened to him either. But he said generally this is straight, there's a line down the middle of the runway that the other plane should have been just following that line. And for some reason, and apparently, according to him, couldn't see because it was on the opposite side of me. Some kind of way he must have veered off and came to where planes were just sitting. So I don't know whether he got an advance to take off ahead of what we were taking off, and why he was trying to pass it at the place where we were sitting and located. All of those. I mean, there's some serious concerns there, and I think that all of that has to be looked into. Here at Reagan Airport, this is what has been taking place recently is just unacceptable, and we gotta, it's got to be fixed.
So,
and I can tell you, just about
yes.
all of the members that were on that plane are all focused that we want some answers. That's for sure. We have to get some answers and got to get them immediately.
And how exactly will you pursue that? Congressman Gottheimer was mentioning, clearly the concerns of air traffic control and the cuts that have been taking place, since Elon Musk and the Department of Efficiency have been cutting all various agencies. We know that the FAA is experiencing these types of cuts. Clearly we don't know exactly what happened. How this mishap happened, but any idea, even talking to this military pilot, does it look like this could have been bad comms from the tower that caused this, or something else?
Anything could have caused it, but I do know cuts are not, the FAA was already short before the Doge cuts and Elon Musk, so they were short on personnel then. They've been actively trying to recruit and train individuals to be in the towers. So, for my estimation, given what has already taken place, cuts cannot be something that's going to help, make passengers and people safe. So all of that has to be looked at. And I want those answers. I think that's where we got to look to see what happened. Why was the other pilot given directions that was the incorrect directions, or whether something, everything. And that's what I want. I want every answer and to know exactly why this took place. And I will be calling on, and I'm immediately will be calling on individuals from the FAA and talking to my colleagues that's on the transportation committee to demand and to get answers. I think someone should be coming in to our to Washington, D.C. It should be a hearing immediately in regards to what took place, how it took place, and why it took place.
Well, I can see what's coming. I can see the press conference. I can see the hearing, just the fact that all of you, a number of members of Congress, were on that plane. Before I let you go, sir, I know this has been a little bit of a crazy afternoon for you, but are you all off of the plane now, or are you all going to get on another plane and still head to where you're going? What's the plan now?
Yeah, we all are off the plane now. I've been rebooked to a plane. I was going to Kennedy, but now they put me on a plane going to LaGuardia. And I think I saw Congressman Espaillat headed to another plane. He might be on the same plane that I was rebooked on. I don't know where Mr. Gottheimer or Ming is, but so we all were trying to get rebooked, but we're all off the plane now. And someone was supposed to have gone when we got back to the gate to inspect the plane that was hit. So I understand there was some debris that was on the ground briefly while we were sitting, and someone came out to see the debris before they allowed us to taxi back to the gate.
Do you feel safe? Do all of you, as you came together or as you got off the plane after this happened, is the consensus is that all of you feel safe flying out of there today?
Yeah, I mean, the airport is still moving, and a lot of, the rest of the individuals in the airport don't even know that it happened, to be quite honest with you. When I rebooked and was talking to some other people, they asked me what happened, and I, why did I miss the other plane? I had to explain to them that the plane that I was on got hit. And as I was there, especially at the rebooking place, then they realized, and so they asked me which plane. I guess the other plane was going to Charlotte or someplace like that, because they said, oh, the New York plane or the Charlotte plane. So I would assume that the plane that hit us and the folks that were on there have to be rebooked also. But I was just told that they were headed for Charlotte.
Congressman Gregory Meeks of New York, thank you so much. You and Congressman Gottheimer mentioned that Nick LaLota from New York was also on the aircraft. He's calling in. Congressman Meeks, thank you so much. Congressman LaLota, thank you so much for calling in as well. You've probably been hearing your colleagues. You're the one that actually tweeted out that something had happened. We saw that. That got the ball rolling for us. So go ahead and tell me what you felt, what you saw.
Yeah, I was seated in row 12 of a small commuter plane. There's probably 60 or 80 of us on board altogether. And while stationary on the runway in DCA, about to take off for JFK, and we were stationary for maybe 5 or 6 minutes, we got bumped on our right wing. It was a loud sound heard throughout the cabin. Most passengers didn't know what it was, but when you looked out the right side of the plane, you saw our right wing shaking a bit, and you saw another plane passing us on the right. It was apparent to me that we had just gotten struck on our right wing.
Have you received any explanation?
Not yet. Not yet. I'm sure that in the coming days and weeks, there'll be an analysis of the incident. But it looked to me that maybe not the proper discretion was exercised when we were being passed on our right. I know that some of the DCA procedures under the microscope, under processes, procedures, personnel, but my quick and layman's analysis of this was maybe just a little too aggressive a move about that a plane passing us on the right.
Got it. Well, as you know, and I've talked about this with Congressman Gottheimer, also Congressman Meeks, and now I'm going to ask you about this as well, especially since you are part of the Aviation Security Caucus. What are you guys going to do about this? I mean, since the plane crash in January, we know there's been a lot of changes. There are ongoing investigations. It was a devastating tragedy here in our nation's capital and for all the people that lost their lives. And it opened up so many cracks in the system, whether it's communication with air traffic controllers, to the flight path, to comms via military helicopters and commercial airlines. But clearly something else has to be done here. And now you and members of Congress experienced it yourself. What are you going to do about it, Congressman?
Yes, so there should be a joint effort, both parties looking to make sure that our processes and procedures are of the right keeping to ensure the safety of the American people. And every life is valuable in every flight, but that 6 members of Congress, represented by both parties, had a front row seat to an aviation incident, will probably increase the attention on this incident and the past ones to ensure that we have the highest standards in aviation to ensure the safety of all Americans.
What will be your next move, Congressman?
I've already been communicating with some folks I know in the FAA about issues, about their attention to things like this. Thankfully, they're on it. I am confident that the right eyes will do the right investigations and reports and provide the right recommendations to reduce the likelihood of an incident like this in the future, because we have to protect all of our air travelers. And thankfully, on this flight, nobody got hurt. Most people didn't even know what it was when it happened. So thankfully, nobody got hurt, and we'll use this as an opportunity to learn.
New Jersey Congressman Nick LaLota, sure appreciate you calling in, sir. Again, 2 planes clipping wings there at D.C.'s Ronald Reagan Washington Airport. You remember the devastating air collision that happened back in January. These planes actually clipped wings on the runway. They had not taken off yet. That is the good news. No injuries reported. Apparently, as you can see here, as we follow these live pictures, planes are still taking off and landing. But nevertheless, this was quite a scary moment for everybody on board that American Airlines flight, including a number of members of Congress, which we're probably going to see some action take place on the Hill immediately since this has gone down.